Hello everybody, welcome. We've got a very powerful full moon in Libra coming up on March 31st at 10 degrees and 44 minutes. Libra has everything to do with love and your relationships. And above all, Libra seeks peace. No conflict and harmony. Now this could be quite challenged at the time of this full moon because we've got a T-square happening. We've got the little moon in Libra here, quite vulnerable on its own, opposite to the Sun and Mercury retro in Aries, and Saturn and Mars in Capricorn. So that's 2 and 2, and this one moon in Libra trying desperately to keep balance. So the most important thing you can do is to try to find balance within you, because you may come up against people who are very controlling, very demanding with that Saturn-Mars energy, who want to push you into doing something maybe you don't want to do, or say, well, you've made this commitment, you better keep it. And then moon in Libra, just to please and keep the harmony, might say yes against the better judgment. And then we've got the opposition going on between Sun and Mercury retrograde, maybe pulling you back into old thoughts about relationships. Maybe even wishing that an old relationship was back in your life. I can't remember the number of times when I've wished for dear Michael, my very first love, who I met when I was 18, how many times I wished that I could have him back in my life, even when I hadn't seen him maybe in the 5 or 10 years. But it just made me sad, made me feel as though there was an emptiness inside of me. So I realised that those thoughts are not really very constructive ones and don't make me feel very balanced. So you might have those kinds of thoughts, and you might, because it's a full moon, you might become aware of it and then be able to observe it in action and then correct it as and when you can. You might also deal with criticism. And this moon in Libra, it's so sensitive. I mean, I know so many of you love what I do, but boy, when I get a really nasty comment, I still haven't been able to detach from it completely. It does affect me, even if it's briefly, even if it's for half an hour. It still has an effect. I'd like to reduce that to 5 seconds, but I'm not quite there yet. Somebody recently, told me, why don't you stop doing the Pleiadians? I'm unsubscribing to your channel. It's a lot of nonsense. And maybe many of you feel like that. But at the same time, I'm doing what feels true to me. I'm pleasing myself. This is moon in Libra, learning to please yourself, because the more that you can please yourself, the more in harmony your life will be. As well, be aware that sometimes people don't act quickly because other things are going on in their lives. Because there's a tendency to want things to happen quickly, and they might not happen quickly with Mercury retro until April 15th. I had this recently with my accountant. He hadn't got back to me, and he'd had my draft tax papers for quite some time, and I felt the impatience rising in me, and I thought, no, just leave it be for another week or two. And then when I did speak to him, I learned that he'd been going to funerals for the last couple of weeks because the tragic Florida shootings were in his neighborhood. So I was very thankful that I just allowed things to be. So you might benefit from allowing things to be just for a while. And Venus, ruler of Libra, just gone into Taurus and is conjunct to Uranus in Aries. So this brings a possibility for a surprise romance, a surprise relationship, a surprise encounter, something when you least expect it. But also it gives you an opportunity to awaken to the beauty around you. I'm astonished really as I become more and more aware of how beautiful nature is. How beautiful animals are, how beautiful children are, and then how beautiful most people are, really. It's more difficult, I must admit, to feel that with everybody, but I'm working on it. But there's the awakening with Taurus energy to the beauty of a sunset, the beauty of weeds. I love weeds. Yes, there's some beautiful weeds with little purple flowers, with little yellow flowers. They're just so divine. And finding that divinity in nature, becoming awakened to it, because this is an opportunity with Uranus at the end of Aries to just become much more aware of the beauty around you. And beauty is not necessarily what we've been conditioned to believe and to see. Yes, having to have all these creams and get rid of the wrinkles and the crow's feet and all that stuff. Because somebody who's really old and who really projects a sense of presence and peacefulness can be very, very beautiful. Even more beautiful sometimes than somebody who's externally pretty. So it's about both. And I've put up here Eros and Agape, because you might be learning how to balance Eros, which is self-centered love, coming, I think, from the word ego. You know, what's in it for me? Wanting to possess somebody, feeling as though you might lose the relationship, all the fears that come up. And then releasing that and opening yourself to unconditional love. And that's where you see unconditionality in nature, in animals. They're not conditional, unless they've been very much trained by others. But for the most part, particularly wild animals or birds, they're just being themselves. So this is an opportunity really to just be yourself, to awaken to the beauty that's around you. And this can be a very joyful and peaceful full moon for you, because you will be able to keep your equilibrium no matter what is going on around you. I hope you like my Libra blouse. Got to try and do beautiful things at this time. And also I've got a new microphone. Many of you have asked me to get better sound. So please give me some feedback and let me know whether you've noticed that I have a better sound quality. Thanks very much for tuning in. Bye for now.